Okay, so this is a presentation about how to use the smartphone experimentation tool for organicity and what features does this tool offer exactly. So to begin with, smartphone experimentation is about being able to collect data from an Android phone carried by volunteers around the cities participating in organicity. Of course, this is not limited to these cities, but we consider this restriction for the project. Uh, One of the main things is that there is a central experimentation application run by all the volunteers participating, and the data collection happens from within specific sensing and experiment plugins developed by the experimenters, which are then loaded on the smartphone during the execution of the application. Also, there is a set of interfaces that allow the experimenters to monitor the data collection at any time of the experiment in order to extract results and ideas for the experiment during its execution also. So the basic component of the tool is the ambient dynamics project, which is an open source project. You can find more information on the link of the presentation, and it will be circulated later on. The first thing you have to note is how to install the toolchain required in order to develop the plugins, which is quite well described in the link in the bottom of the slide. It also has a video about how to install the tools on the Eclipse IDE. And basically it is an OSGI plugin executor on the smartphone itself with some extra permissions around the sensors provided by Android. So it's pretty much similar to all the Eclipse plugins available today. And some more information about how the plugins themselves work is we have two categories of plugins. The first ones are sensing plugins and the second ones are experiment plugins. They both have a similar way of operating using asynchronous calls in order to update their context. The only difference between the two is that the experiment plugins actually do not collect any data but aggregate the data coming from the sensors. This can be either a simple summing up of all the data or doing some more extensive calculation based on the experiment performed. So the data collection happens from all the sensors that are available on the Android phone. This can be temperature or the microphone or whatever else the Android phone provides. There has to be a small check there in order to make sure that because of the differences between different phones, the sensor exists. And also you can use the different interfaces like Wi-Fi or Bluetooth or NFC to scan the environment near the phone as well. Data collection happens on 60-second intervals. This is not a strict restriction, but we found that it's the best option in order to conserve battery as well. Faster polling is not really so much useful.
Okay, to be a little bit more clear, there is already a set of sensor plugins implemented that provide some sort of basic functionality, and you can, as Dimitris will explain now, you can use the already available plugins in order to implement some more, let's say, complex functionality for your experiments.
Yes, we have already developed a set of plugins that we used for some experiments of our own. Examples are in the GitHub repositories I have in the presentation. So, for example, you can check how the temperature plugin operates. There are a lot of files in the repository, but you mainly need to care about a couple of them. So, the main file that is executed on the phone is the runtime class, the plugin runtime.java in every plugin. It has some basic things. It extends a specific class required for the ambient dynamics, and then a few basic calls which are practically the init function, the start and stop calls, and the handle context request, which is actually the function called to poll the sensors. And to go into a bit more detail, as you can see in the init function, if you are familiar to Android, this seems very similar to what you would normally do. You create a sensor listener.
Dimitrios, can you zoom in a little bit in the browser to the example?
Okay.
Yeah, now
better now?
Yeah, yes.
So if you see here, the init function simply creates a new event listener, which is a typical Android code, and then register this listener in the sensor manager in order to receive updates. This all happens asynchronously in Android. And then whenever you have a context update request, you just get the latest value you got from the sensor and post it using block of code, which is required by our system in order to receive the messages. And this is all of it. So you have sent the measurement to the application, and then it will be broadcasted back to our servers. So this is the other type of plugins I mentioned before. There are three of them here. So if you go and if you want to check, let's say, the temperature experiment we did, it's a similar structure in the plugin, and again you only want to care about the runtime class, which also extends the same class for ambient dynamics and has the same init start and destroy calls. And finally, the context request now is a bit more not exactly complex, but it aggregates the data from the previous plugin executions. So it gets the data from the GPS plugin and the temperature plugin, aggregates them in a single measurement, and then again sends them to the application so they are transmitted back to the server. This is the simplest case. If you want to do any calculations with the data you received and something like that, you need to place it here and then transmit the final data to our server. So as Georgios mentioned, there are a few plugins that are already developed by us. You can find them on the smartphone experimentation tool webpage. Some of them are the location sensor based on GPS and fused GPS from Google, the noise sensor which uses the microphone, temperature, pressure or humidity, and also a BLE reader for Bluetooth sensors for using Bluetooth LE. And the Wi-Fi sensor we did about collecting the nearby access points inside the cities, for example. So the next part, after you start and think you're finished with developing the code for the experiment, is to drop by the experimenter portal, as Luis showed before. So you go and create an experiment in a similar way than before. Hope I remember the password. Great. So after you log in, you create an experiment in the same way. The only thing you need to take into account here is that there are a few more options about the experiment. So for example, we have this experiment called Noisy City, which is about monitoring the noise in the city of London. As you see here, I have already created some areas in the experiment, and if you go and jump in the regions, this is what we need the advanced options for. So in every region you can select the time interval for the experimentation. Maybe you are interested in the noise in the city center and not during the day and not during the night. And two values for minimum and maximum samples in order to consider this area cover and an importance, of course. And after that, you jump back. Noise. And you see that we have created an application for the experiment, which is of the type smartphone. And some new choices appeared in the below section. So we have an option to upload a new application jar. This is the experiment plugin that I showed before, or to upload a new sensor plugin in order to use it in our own application. If we want to use any previously developed plugin, we just need to select it from the list. We don't need to do anything else. And the final part is that you can go to the application results in order to see what happens in your experiment, how the data is collected. So you jump to the smartphone tool, and you see that you have one application that contains 4 regions around the city. We have some 4 regions, and in the regions you see that there are 5,900 measurements in the first one, 4,000 in the other one. You see a distribution of the measurements between the regions and the coverage based on the minimum and maximum numbers you entered before. You also have an option to see the measurements that are outside the regions you defined. So maybe you are missing some on the edges of the regions, some reason. And the other option is to jump in the region itself in order to see how the measurements are distributed inside it. And for example, here you can see that they are in somehow straight lines, which is probably the subway lines in London. And apart from some basic information about the region, you can also see how they are distributed throughout the day. So some of them are in the night, some other are in the morning. And you have the option to download them either as JSON or CSV. You can do it at any time during the experiment. And you can also do it either by region or as a total for the whole experiment. What else? You can also have a look at the sensors here, which are the sensors available in the system. If you have deployed any of your own sensors, you will see them here as noted that they are private for your project and no one else. And that's pretty much the monitoring tool. So finally, the application is available on the Play Store. So if you go to play.google.com, you can find it as smartphone experimentation. And download it for your phone directly from here. I think it's compatible with smartphones above Android 4.4 and up until 7. We have some issues with Android 7 until now, but we are working on it. And for the smartphone, you see that you have a home screen where you see your location currently in the system and your device ID. This is for debugging purposes. The second tab contains a list of all available sensors for yourself, for your account. you can select them and install them on the phone. And afterwards there's a tab with the experiments, the third one, where you select the experiment participating and install it as well. And then you are ready to go and walk around the city to collect the data. All volunteers have a tab also which contains their statistics, so they can see how many measurements they have collected and how they rank amongst the other participants. And some community and gaming features like collecting badges or stuff like that. Also an important thing is that you can log in the application with your Organisti account as well. And in that case you can also see your, let's say, staging applications, the ones you have created, but are not released for experimentation yet. So you can do debugging on the phone and see how the plugins and the experiment plugins operate before releasing them to the public. So that's pretty much about it from me.
Dimitris, can you also go again to the plugin list screenshot?
Yes.
So this is a sort of, let's say, privacy feature. So when we break up the functionality of the experiment into separate plugins, we allow the participants to sort of be able to see what's being done with the experiment downloaded into their smartphone. So if they see that they can enable, let's say, the different kind of plugins, they can also select not to utilize some of the sensors on their smartphone. For example, somebody may be cautious or suspicious about the use of the microphone on his smartphone. If he doesn't select that he would like to share the noise sensor, for example, then the experiment will not be downloaded into his smartphone and will not be executed. And this is, let's say, a nice way to be clear about what is being executed in his smartphone during the experiment's duration.